Hi, I'm Marshall. I'm the owner of Going Gear, and I'm here in our store in Smyrna, Georgia. This is the extended review of the Niwalker MM25MB. All right, here we are with the Niwalker MM25MB in the packaging. Part of their Mini-Max series. It's one of their new Monster Bright lights. We showed the MM15MB before. 7,600 lumens on max output, and you're like, man, 7,600 lumens and a light in a box this size? And yeah, it's legit. It really does put out 7,600 lumens according to the ANSI FL1 standard. So 7,600 lumens on max output goes all the way down to 36 lumens, 300 meters of beam distance. 7,600 lumens, 300 meters. This is going to be a very floody light. That's kind of what Niwalker is known for, especially in their smaller lights. They do make some really impressive big throwers, but they've made a name for themselves, making stuff like the MM15 and the MM18. And the new one, the MM25MB. So the modes you have on here, you got 36 lumens for 350 hours, 148 lumens for 50 hours, 1,127 for 7, 2,700 for 2.5, 7,600 for 2 hours. And some stuff I don't ever talk about that I really do need to talk about because I kind of take it for granted is stuff like impact rating, waterproofing. Impact rating 1.5 meters. You can drop it and it'll handle an impact. So basically, if you're holding it and you drop it, it'll be okay. IPX8 rating, which means that you drop it in some water, you leave it in there for a little while, it'll be okay. Don't go diving with it. Anything short of diving and you're good to go. As always, you can get the full specs on our site, goinggear.com. All right, here's what's inside. So the user manual we're going to pull out, a bunch of good information in there. Talks about the interface, talks about battery installation, talks about all kinds of stuff in there. One thing to note is that it does have thermal protection built in. So a light this small, putting out 7,600 lumens, is going to generate a considerable amount of heat. And it does have thermal protection built in, so to prevent the light from overheating, to prevent it from damaging the light or you, because it is going to put out some serious heat, it's going to have thermal protection. So when it gets to a certain temperature, it's going to drop the output just to protect everything. That is very, very normal. We always get questions about that, like, why does my light do this? Think about the amount of heat coming off of this thing and the amount of power coming off of this thing. It's just not sustainable for an extended period. But if you're like me, you're going to very rarely use the max outputs for more than quick bursts. If you need something that can do it for more than quick bursts, you need something much larger, probably powered by your car or the Sirius battery pack. This thing is meant for quick bursts, and then on the lower outputs, it can maintain those the entire runtime. So just keep that in mind. There is thermal protection in this thing, and it's meant for quick bursts. So usually in lights like this, after a few minutes, depending on the temperature, depending on the outside temperature, depending on if you're holding it in your hand, if it's windy, stuff like that, I usually get 3 to 5 minutes before the temperature, or before the temperature control kicks in and the output drops. But here is the light in the holster. Pretty nice little holster, really simple, just slides in there, holds it in there well, and then you've got the attachment point on the back. You can attach it to your pack or belt or wherever else you want to attach it. But this is the light. This thing puts out 7,600 lumens on max output, and it's thanks to those 3 Cree XHP70 LEDs down in there. We're going to take a closer look at those here in a second. Let me show you the other stuff that you get. You get a couple spare O-rings if you happen to need those. You've got a lanyard in there. Their lanyards are really nice, so definitely worth using if you're a lanyard person. But here is the light. Let's take a closer look at those LEDs. So they each have their own little reflector area. So you got the textured reflector that helps smooth the beam out. Really big LEDs, really small reflectors considering the size of the LEDs. So again, this is going to be a floody light, which you'll see when we go outside. But I mean, this thing will light up everything in front of you for a pretty considerable amount of distance. They're rated at 300 meters. I've taken it outside, and for 100 meters, it's like daylight. I mean, it just lights up just everything in your view. It's really, really impressive. You got a stainless steel bezel insert on there, nice toughened glass lens. There's your, you got a little bit of black on there. I'm not sure where they started doing that, but they've done that on their last couple of lights. I don't know if it's for reflective properties or what, but kind of a nice touch. It looks nice regardless. The interface is all controlled by the side switch here. So you just got this side switch. There's the back. You got your lanyard attachment points. And then we'll open it up, and we're going to put some batteries in here. You know, I talked about the impact rating and some stuff that I've been neglecting for, honestly, years in my videos. Some other stuff that it has that's nice. It uses a nice aluminum alloy that's going to hold up really well, still be pretty lightweight and dissipate heat really well. It also has Type 3 hard anodizing. So I've gone over this in my last few videos. I'm going to keep on doing it. But Type 3 hard anodizing, I mean, this is a hardened steel blade. You can see running it across, it doesn't affect it at all. You know, if you use the lower grades of the anodizing, that would have just scratched completely down to the aluminum. If I bore down on it, if I really just, crank down on it, it would definitely scratch it on there, because aluminum is a relatively soft metal. Hardened steel blade is definitely going to be able to do some damage to it, but normal wear and tear is going to be able to handle that just fine. So you're not going to get a whole lot of scratches unless you just really abuse this light. So that's a nice touch that you get with the Type 3 hard anodizing. Soft rubber switch, feels really good, pretty easy to find. You can just run your finger across and it's raised up a little bit, and obviously you have the texturing on there. So I find that in lights like this, if you just hold the head and squeeze, a lot of times that will just turn the light on. But if you just run your fingers around, you really quickly find it. Battery carrier, so this thing is powered by 4 18650 batteries. Quick note on that, we've tried some different batteries. You're going to want some pretty high drain, high quality batteries. Don't just get some cheap ones. Don't get laptop pulls or anything like that. The ones that I'm going to use are actually eFest IMRs. So we're going to put 4 3500 milliamp hour eFest IMRs. These are our best eFest IMRs. I'm going to put them in there because they'll be able to sustain that that max output, not just because of temperature, but because the batteries themselves won't drop down to a voltage where they can't sustain it. And also the battery protection won't kick in because IMRs are not protected, because they don't need to be, because they're safe intrinsically. All right, so we got the 4 batteries in there. Got them all kind of aligned. We're going to stick it back in there. You can see you've got the same connection points on both ends. Doesn't matter how you insert it. You can put the battery carrier back in there however you want. But again, make sure you use high quality, high drain batteries. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to turn the light on to the max output. And if it does, it's not going to do it for very long. So eFest IMRs, by the time I have this video up, I'll have a bundle on the site so you can get them all together in one package, not have to worry about what to get with it. All right, so the interface on here, tap that switch and it'll turn the light on. Keep on tapping quickly. It'll cycle through your different outputs. And when you have it on for a second or so and you hit the switch again, it's going to turn the light off. Double click from off, it'll go straight into strobe. Press and hold from off, it'll go straight into the max output. And you see it's some pretty serious output. So max output 7600 lumens, instant access to it from off. You got the battery indicator on there. So it's going to be green when you're good to go, and then when the voltage starts dropping a little bit too low, it's going to turn red. And you can see it was already starting to do that when I was running the 7600 lumens. So I'll make sure I charge these up to full capacity before I take the light outside, just so we can see its full potential. Okay, you got some hidden modes in there as well. So when the light is on, if you double click, it'll go into an SOS. One more time, it'll go into a beacon flashing mode. It'll just flash like that. Or sorry, it'll do beacon and then SOS. And then there's no mode memory for that, so there's a mode memory for the rest of the outputs. You can see it's not going to go back into the flashing modes. Okay, again, really quick on the interface. Tap the switch, keep on tapping quickly, and it'll cycle through your different outputs. When you have it on for a second or so, tap it again and it'll turn it off. Double click from off to get into strobe. Press and hold from off to go straight into your max output. That's just blowing out my camera image. And then when you have it on, double click and then double click again for your 2 special flashing modes. All right, that is the interface and everything of the very, very cool Minimax MM25MB from Niwalker. Really impressive light. The size is impressive. You can see compared to their original Dusty that I've had sitting on my desk for a while, MM15. It's pretty much the same size. Zoom out a little bit just so you can see it a little bit better. But it's pretty much the same size, slightly longer, but you get a significant increase in output. So this thing's really impressive. Got a decent interface on it. Doesn't have a handle on it, but I personally never really found the handle all that useful. The light's not really that big, and I find it comfortable to hold like this. Switch is easy to find still without the handle. Okay, so that is the MM25MB. Let's go ahead and take it outside, and we'll show you how it does outside. All right, we're outside with the Niwalker MM25MB. Got the big 40 mag light that I always use as a control. Let's go ahead and try that mag light out first. So, bush right there, or tree right there is about 30 feet away. Dock house down there on the lake is about 100 feet away. So we're gonna start off big. We're gonna go ahead and go straight to the turbo max output. Look at all that light. That's just an obscene amount of light. And just to show you, I'm not turning on my porch light or my car light or anything like that. This really compact light is putting out 7,600 lumens, really, really impressive. So let's zoom in down there. I'm actually going to release it so I can zoom in. We'll zoom in down there on the dock house, and then you can see how extremely well everything is lit up. Let's actually show you the different outputs down there just so you can see what those look like, other than the turbo of the 7,600 lumens, and they all make it out there pretty well. Obviously the lowest isn't going to get out there great, but for up close kind of stuff, it does really, really well. And then let's zoom back out, and then there's your max output again. You know, there's kind of a hot spot in there. You know, normally you say the bright part in the center is the hot spot, but pretty much the whole thing is a hot spot. It's a very even beam. You do have a slightly dimmer spill out there, but this thing is definitely meant to be a flutter, just light up everything in front of you kind of light. I keep on accidentally releasing it, so I'm gonna put it in the other hand so I can shine it around a little bit better and mess with my camera with my other hand. We'll shine that around a little bit. You see the amount of light coming off this thing. Really, really impressive. Let's actually see what this can do with some more distance. You can see what it can do with a little over 100 yards. Let's go ahead and try that out. All right, we got some more space to show off the MM25MB, so let's go ahead and turn it on, show you what it can do. So there it is on low. Boat right there is about 20 feet away. Got a couple targets set up out there. Let's crank it up to the max output, 7,600 lumens. A whole lot of light coming out of this thing. Like the MM18 II, I giggle every time I turn this on just because it's fun. There's a ton of light coming out of this thing. Those targets set up out there, let's take a look at those. So we got one at 50 yards. That one's 100 yards. Tree line beyond is 130 yards. Little white sign is about 60 yards. You can see it's lighting all that up extremely well. Just a big old wall of light lighting up everything, lighting up my peripheral vision, just a big floodlight. I personally find lights like this very useful. People ask, what are you gonna do with 7,600 lumens? And I'm like, hey man, I wanna see what's out there. I wanna see everything that's out there, and this can obviously do that. So I find lights like this very useful. We're gonna cycle through the different outputs just so you can see what the different levels look like. If you have a lot of land, if you want to walk your dog at night and just blind everything around you, if you want to just have a bunch of light, lights like this are excellent, and this is one of the best ones that I've ever seen. So we'll cycle through those. And I like the interface on there. I like that soft switch. I like the size. I mean, 7,600 lumens out of something this compact is pretty impressive. So there you go. That is the Niwalker MM25MB. Very cool light, very impressive light. If you want a light to wow your friends, then this is definitely a good one to get. If you like it, you can buy it from me at goinggear.com. Any questions or comments, you can reach me in the comments or any of my guys at goinggear.com. As always, get going and start something. Thanks for watching.